Okay, we'll try sound check again. Veronica Moda, are you able to do sound check? We're not able to hear you if you're.
Can you hear me?
Vivian Garcia, have you been able to join? Mike Edmondson?
Yeah, here.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, we know that Clarissa Simon is just a few minutes out. She's going to attend in person, but we need either Veronica Moda or Vivian Garcia from Region 4 to check in so that we can gain quorum.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Nope. Oh, I hear somebody, but just barely.
All right. I don't know if I have an issue with my audio.
That's better. We can hear you now.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Veronica. Okay, one more time for Vivian Garcia. Okay, we don't see her, but Eduardo, we do have quorum left.
Okay, thank you. So since we have quorum, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. And so we have confirmation of that. So first order of business is to go over the agenda review for today. And starting off after our public comments and PSC comments opportunity, we will have the approval of minutes and action items from the June 26th PSC meeting. We will have innovation introduction, workload management update, policy and release update, benefits Cal transition updates, benefits Cal update, foster care eligibility determination or FSET update, data analytics update, infrastructure update, contact center updates, our release of information or ROI updates, the 2026 CalSOS conference update, our state partners updates, and then we will adjourn the meeting. At this time, we are now at the opportunity for public comment. The public opportunity to speak on any item not on the agenda. Public comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, except that a speaker using a translator shall be allowed up to 6 minutes. The public may also speak on any item on the agenda by waiting until that item is read, then requesting recognition from the chair to speak. At this time, do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda? Hearing or seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the approval of minutes and review of the action items, which I will turn over to Holly.
Thank you. Holly Murphy here. We have two action items that are open. One I will ask owner to speak to. It's related to sharing outside benchmarks for self-service site adoption rates. Owner, do you want to address that one?
Sure, definitely. Good morning, everyone. This is Onur from the Benefits Cal team. Before jumping into the action item itself, let me provide a quick history and the background where this action item was originated from. This action item originally came from following in a previous meeting that we had, a previous steering committee meeting, following a collaboration model update. And it was primarily about the success factors and the metrics that we should be looking to see when these items are being implemented. Not only beyond the technical KPIs, but also affecting the business, including the usage and adoption of the portal, especially the ones related to the applications and renewals, and holistically end-to-end, not in a silo. So in order to work on this request, we reached out to states that we partner with to see how the numbers and trends are looking like. From the application standpoint, the percentages of applications submitted through online channels through the self-service portals are ranging between 28 to 81%. It's kind of a wide range, but the average is around 55, and Benefits Cal we are averaging between 55 to 63% in general. And when we look at the states and their nature, because every state is different in size and scale, and the demographics and the dynamics of the states are different than California. When we look at the factors influencing the adoption rates, it is the integrated statewide portals is one of them that we saw. Some of the states require customers to submit an online request in order even to submit a paper application. Some states do not even have customers to walk in. There's no county office to walk in for in-person applications. So those factors, some of the states encouraging customers to submit online even at the in-person locations. So these factors, then we look at it affecting the percentage of the adoptions of the self-service portals. In terms of the renewals, the range is also quite wide. It varies between the percentage of renewals submitted online through the self-service portal varies between 12% to 60%. Average is 33%. Again, when we look into the factors contributing that, adoption is pre-populated forms is one of them. The real frequent nudges and reminders is another one. Some states have combo renewals. Multiple programs, they encourage to do the renewals at the same time instead of in separate time frames. And some states have real-time eligibility too. So these are the factors that we saw. I don't know if I shared the benefit scale for the renewals. It's 38% for benefit scale. So we are, for both of them, we are above the average for both applications and renewals in terms of user adoption. With that, Holly, I'm handing it back.
And then the other action item is to validate levels of access to the analytics data, and that will be addressed as part of the agenda. So with that, I'll turn it back to Eduardo for comments, questions, or next steps.
Thank you, Holly. So at this time, are there any questions or comments from the PSC?
Just a quick request. Could we get a document? This is Dal Benavides from Region 6. Could we get a documentation on this? Took quick notes, but it would be good to see a document on it.
So Del, we will take it back, but I don't think I can share it in a writing because it requires some permission from the states to share their state level data. So
Okay.
that is a level of information I can share at this point.
Sounds good.
Any additional questions from PSC? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, we'll move on. So now it's to confirm the minutes from the June 26th PSC meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
This is Sean, Region 6. I move to approve.
Thank you.
Dal Benavides,
Second.
Region 6. I second that.
Thank you both.
Marissa, do you vote yes or no?
Thank you.
We're just now taking the vote on the minutes. Do you want to?
Oh, yes, I approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana Hernandez, do you want to approve just for the record?
I approve.
Or, up to you. Eduardo?
I approve.
Rachel?
I approve.
Veronica? Do you want to approve for the record?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you. Vivian Garcia, have you been able to join? Jamae?
I approve.
Thank you. Mike?
I approve.
Thank you. Then Sean, Olga?
I approve.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. Thank you all very much. So next we will move on to our next items on the agenda for our informational. So we have innovation introduction.
Yeah, so this is Holly Murphy again, and today we wanted to reintroduce the topic of innovation. You might recall that we had the Innovation Lab scope of work early on in CalSAWS, but we had paused those efforts due to the extensive migration efforts. So now our new contracts pick these efforts back up now that we're past transition. And this is scope that is intended to, it's specific to the review and research of ideas. And these are the big ideas. It doesn't mean the ideas get implemented, but it will enable ideas to be prioritized and analyzed for, based on county direction for further consideration. So we are planning to host a series of deep dive sessions with county leadership within each region over the next few weeks, and we'll talk through the proposed process and that framework, gather that feedback. Similar to our analytics deep dive sessions, that those seem to work really well. And we do anticipate some really good, robust discussion about this new scope, so we think the sessions will accommodate that. Just a spoiler alert, what you can expect to see is what we modeled after the Shark Tank model that we previously used. So that seemed to work well in the past, so we're going to bring that back to you for consideration. And it includes county input and decision points by a panel of designated county directors, which would form an innovation panel. So we'll walk through the process timelines with you during those deep dive sessions, and you can provide feedback so that we can finalize the process and then report back to this group and JPA for final direction and approval. Just as a reminder, for Benefits Cal, our public-facing elements, we have existing processes already established that account for those new ideas coming in. So should ideas be submitted through this process, they would be channeled back into those existing processes. So we're excited to resume this scope of work. We're excited to share the process with you and get your feedback. It's been a while coming. And I've heard from several directors that, they're looking for that more collaboration and more transparency and more input into the strategic planning. So I think this will be a key forum for that. And then just one other item before I hand it back, just to add some additional context. So this, again, is supposed to be for the big ideas. It's beyond the routine changes that you would submit through your operational requests in SNOW or through a CER process. And I know there's questions and concerns about what we had been talking about for BCRs. And at this time, we are sticking with the CERs, and we'll welcome your suggestions on how we can improve that process. And we'll work on ideas for that as well. But in the meantime, the CER process is an active process. It is still open for you to submit, but this particular scope will be for those really big new ideas that we want to be able to consider. So with that, I'll turn it back to Eduardo.
Thank you, Holly. So listen to that. Great. It's great to hear kind of the new process and the thought behind that. So are there any questions from our PSC members? Hearing none. Any public comment? None or seeing none. I think then there's no action item, so we can move on to the next item, which is workload management update.
Yep, thank you, Eduardo. Jerry Nielsen speaking for Workload Management Redesign. We'll cover a couple things today. First, I will recap kind of where we are with the workload management redesign effort. And then we will go and focus a little bit more on the first phase that went into production in May, and go over what a retrospective is and what our findings were. So beginning with workload redesign, this has been a multi-year effort, so a couple years at this point. Quickly, back in 2024, an effort was launched to go and do the research analysis, determine the pain points, and gather requirements, get those reviewed and confirmed by all the stakeholders across the 6 regions. I think everybody's seen this a little bit, but to briefly recap it, there were regional workshops where these things were discussed. The standard work groups were put together to go and analyze and distill the requirements into a list of a little over 150. The regional managers were involved throughout the process in guiding and course correcting along the way. And in addition, towards the end, there were site visits to go out and confirm firsthand some of the decisions and requirements that were made through the previous processes. So at the end of that, there was a list of requirements of around a little over 150. Those requirements were picked up towards the end of 2025, and the design phase began. So there are 7 areas there, and you can see them grayed out. Scheduling the intakes, enhancing reporting, simplifying the maintenance of worker schedules, enhancing the view of the schedules and their appointments, simplifying and adding some additional options on reassigning appointments. And then some other assisted pieces within the application in prioritizing applications and their work. Overall on this, with a change this big, there was a significant training and OCM effort that went along with it. The overall, there were 2 phases in this approach. So the first phase went in at the end of May with the 2605 release. And we will be talking a little bit more in detail shortly on that. I did want to bring your attention to the one area that's not grayed out here, which is the upcoming release in September, where the remaining items of phase 2 will go in. And that's primarily around some additional changes to the prioritization of assigning workloads out, how they get signed out, some enhancements to the existing reporting and some additional reporting, and then some changes to the tasks that get set with customer appointments. And so with that, I will hand over to Dan to introduce the next slide on retrospectives.
Okay, Dan Dean, Quality Assurance Project Manager. I'm going to just spend a few minutes setting context on what retrospective is and when we do them. They've been around about 20 years. It's a formal process that originally started with the Agile Development Framework. We apply them here at CalSAWS for very large efforts and or phased efforts, and I'll share some of those examples. In the case of workload management, we had the retrospective on July 7th. It included stakeholders from both the regional management team, bringing in the county input, the development team from Deloitte Quality Assurance, as well as consortium. We start these using a very a virtual board so everybody can collaborate. We start with the prime directive. This is not a CalSAWS thing. It's a software development thing. And the purpose is to shift from a point of blame towards curiosity. How do we encourage everybody's participation to find the things we did well that we can repeat and the areas we need to investigate further for improvement that we can benefit from go forward. So the prime directive literally reads, regardless of what we discover, we understand and truly believe that everyone did the best job they could, given what they knew at the time, their skills and abilities, the resources available in the situation at hand. So the goal here is to invite feedback and input and get everyone to collaborate on the right approach go forward. In the case of CalSAWS, we use them on large efforts like M&E transition, infrastructure transition, lobby management. They were part of the 6 phases of the Calvin implementation efforts. We could benefit from our findings in each of those subsequent counties. And the quality assurance team internal to ourselves also does it from an independent test perspective. You have a system test that your contractors are providing, as well as the independent test from QA. So what additional edge case scenarios could we, for example, add to benefit testing go forward? In the case of workload management, the what we did well had about 20 comments, a little bit more than that. The what should we investigate and move forward with had 30. There was a lot, right? Workload management had over 18,000 hours. We grouped those things together. We prioritized them, and out of those 30 comments, they fit into about 9 to 10 patterns. And the top 4 are shown here on the slide that Jerry is going to share out. So this isn't exhaustive. We're trying to give you a 10-minute oversight. There are other things involved that there were more at the coding level that we're going to need to work on with the team. But that's essentially the context for this. Go forward.
Thanks, Dan. So as Dan mentioned, there's really 2 major categories where things go into: what has worked and areas of opportunities for improvement. Quickly, the areas that we identified working well was the collaboration across the stakeholders, which are listed here. That worked very well for an effort this large. That fed into the next area that worked well, the work groups. If the stakeholders are working well, then the work groups tend to work well. The facilitation was on point, targeted, and disciplined to get through the large volume of requirements that we had to get to, and to get designs out there and to meet the timelines that we had. So county engagement along the way was active. Lots of county engagement along the way. Constructive feedback that was added to the development and design process along the way to enhance the the delivery of the project in 2605. Some things that were helpful, we had in addition to what we normally do, additional training and demonstration opportunities. There was a lot of changes coming into here, and so a lot to cover. And we said it was appreciated that there was a lot of additional training and demonstrations. The other piece on this one, and we do this a lot with larger efforts, is we had dedicated office hours afterwards. This gives an area for one point of contact for any questions that come on this. And in this case, what was identified in particular was the rapid identification, diagnosis, and resolution of any defects that helped stabilize any instability with the release quickly after it went into production. Some of the improvement areas quickly. As you might imagine, this SCR was a big one. There was a lot of changes, nearly 20,000 hours of work in here. I think we're looking to maybe have more checks along the way, opportunities to maybe decompose some of this as far as presenting the information and the change that's coming along the way. And those are some of the recommendations we're going to apply to the many large efforts that will be upcoming. Next one, OCM and training. That piece in this particular effort was a little later than we wanted it in the development life cycle. I think what I identified that the earlier we get this closer to when the requirements are designed and start preparing that with an eye towards what activities and changes need to be addressed with the users of the changes, the better. So that'll be one of the things we take forward. Again, back to the size and complexity, that leads to testing complexity, a lot of things to test, a lot of scenarios, a lot of edge cases. There's still timelines to meet, so that leans it back to how do we break these things down into smaller, more digestible units to get the changes through and to get broader and deeper coverage on functionality as we go through. And then lastly, the major category, looking at the county's ability to digest the change, right? How much change can come at a time, and that the counties can make the business process changes. So adding an emphasis, particularly these large changes, to take that into perspective on it's not just can the project code it, deliver it, and test it, it's the county may change their business processes and digest those changes and be effective in servicing their clients. I'll hand it back to you, Eduardo, for any questions.
Thank you, Jerry and Dan. So for now, any questions or comments from the PSC?
Hi, this is Jermaine Duncan. I can't find my raise your hand button. I just want to say I really appreciate the workload management activity that's been occurring. It's been really significant and really important to us here in Ventura County. And so I do appreciate the amount of effort and everything that's going on with that. And the recommendations that you have identified here, these are some of the same ones that were shared by the staff when I asked, how are things going? So I appreciate the fact that they've been recorded, recognized, and hopefully that they'll be acted upon. So thanks for the effort regarding the workload management.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions or comments from PSC members? Then we'll move on to any public comment. Hearing and seeing none, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to the next one, which is policy and release updates.
Good morning. And so for Medi-Cal, what we're going to start out with is a discussion on the CMS, IFR, or interim final rule. And so you're aware that CMS issued an interim final rule on June 3rd. DHCS is in the middle of assessing the IFR for impacts to the current implementation of the Medi-Cal work and community engagement requirements. And they will be providing policy direction to eligibility systems as it gets defined. Also, what's occurring in parallel is that DHCS, CalSAWS, CalHERS, Benefits Cal, we're working together to assess the IFR impacts to CalSAWS, Benefits Cal, CalHERS, as well as the CalHERS portal. And what those impacts are to, I think you all are familiar that we have an implementation going in 2609 that will be effective on January 1st, 2027. And, as I said, we're just assessing the impacts right now. The updates to the work and community engagement requirements, we've already kind of started that impact analysis, as I mentioned, but we also are going to continue the CalSAWS county work group for the work requirement and community engagement, and we're planning to start those up for IFR changes in the August timeframe. Okay, next slide. There was a question that had come up, and this slide has been briefed before as to the current, what's going into the 2609 release for the work and community engagement, the exemptions that are defined. And so what this is a list of exemptions that apply to this effort. And, so a lot of them are coming from data collection within CalSAWS. And so we'll be pulling from that. There are also some ones that the worker can define, such as medical and hardship exemptions. And then there are other ones that are countywide, similar to what ABOT has is a county living in a high unemployment, or a county that's impacted by a federally declared emergency or disaster. In addition to pulling from data collection, the worker can set an exemption as verified in the Medi-Cal work and community engagement screens. And so if it's not specified in data collection, they have a separate opportunity or second opportunity to set those exemptions on that page. And then, similar to how our Medi-Cal interface for Magi goes, CalHERS determines if an exemption has been met. Okay, next slide. This is just a summary. Nothing has really changed with the risks. Okay, next slide. And now I'll hand it over to Roger Perez for the CalFresh briefing.
Thank you, Sharon. Good morning, everyone. Roger Perez, Release Manager and Delivery Governance Director. For the CalFresh policy update, we'll be walking through the roadmap of the key HR1 policy items, as well as those state budget items related to the CalFresh program. So starting with our July release that is targeted to go out this Monday, we have in that release the implementation of the CalFresh SUAS eligibility notice being implemented in the threshold languages. In addition to that, we have the first phase of the true consent-based verification tool, which is being integrated with Benefits Cal and CalSAWS. As we look forward to our August month, we have a priority release scheduled to include the automation of the CDSS ABOT exemption file. This is a policy enhancement which enables CalSAWS to automatically process exemption data provided by CDSS, which is derived across multiple state-wide administrative data systems, including DHCS, IHSS, and DDSS. And this is to identify potential ABOT exemptions that are not already reflected in CalSAWS. With the goal of this enhancement is to proactively apply valid ABOT exemptions to reduce manual workload for our counties and to help prevent eligible CalFresh recipients from being incorrectly discontinued. As we look at our September release, this includes several key policy efforts. There's the updates to SUA to incorporate in inter-county transfers. We have phase 1 of the integration of the work number service through Equifax for income and employment verification. The addition of an ABOD summary page that will serve as a central location for workers to view ABOD exemptions. To view ABOD actions and outcomes regarding screening and qualifying work activities. There's additional automated ABOD journal entries that will be part of this release as well. The re-enablement of the PVS automation. Now with this release, we're going to be piloting that automation across 3 counties, Sonoma, Santa Cruz, and Riverside. We're going to be closely monitoring, working with these counties to see how the automation goes once it's deployed to production before we enable that for all other counties. We also have the ABOD waiver update. Now, this is for Alpine County. Alpine County is the only county that was previously an approved county for this waiver that is now transitioning off. In addition to that, we have Kings County, who is a new county that will be added on to this waiver. So that will be part of our September release. We also, as part of a priority release, we have the creation of an ad hoc report that will be submitted to CDSS on a monthly basis that tracks the number of ABOD discretionary exemptions used for each individual. As we look forward to November, we have phase 2 of True. Now, this is going to be implementing this phase in an off state. This is setting up the framework for the future activation that will come in January. This is where we're creating the capability of to trigger customer text messages and emails, directing users to the self-service portal landing page that hosts the True interface. In January, we have the activation of that phase 2 in production. And we're also creating CalSOS pages to now track the allocation and use of the discretionary exemptions assigned by CDSS on an annual basis. So phase 1 being the ad hoc report that's going to go to CDSS, and then phase 2 in January, creating pages within CalSOS that will allow our counties and users in the system to see those allocations. And then lastly, in May, we have phase 3 of True. This is to update the functionality to allow now access during the renewal, periodic report, and report change process. Next slide, please. And then just again, moving over to our release update, I mentioned how 2607 is scheduled to go live this Monday. We did receive green light approval yesterday from the project as all of the testing activities were successful. So we'll be going live with that release. And as we do with major releases, the first 3 days of a major release, we have the post-implementation call with the counties. These are held at 4 o'clock to go over any known issues with the release and or to receive feedback from our counties on how things are going with the release. So with that, I'll pass it back over to Eduardo to see if there's any questions.
All right. Thanks, Sharon and Roger, for those updates. Any questions from our PSC members or comments? How about any questions or comments from the public? Oh, sorry, I missed one.
Quick question.
The
Slide where you said CalHERS determines the exemptions. If CalHERS is determining the exemption, we still have to, when we receive it in CalSOS, do we still have to verify, collect verification from the customers, or CalHERS is doing all of that?
So if it's in data collection, that would have been admin verified already. And if an worker is entering it in the work and community engagement page, any of those exemptions and sets it to verified, CalHERS will take that as verified.
Okay, thank you.
Sharon, can I add? I think a good way to think about it is when we talk about CalHERS determining the exemption, it's because the business rules actually live in CalHERS. So ultimately, the decision of what is going to be used and whether or not somebody is meeting or excluded from the work requirements comes from that business rules logic. However, the case management of it, counties telling the system that they meet an exception, counties getting that, the verifications of that and entering those data collection pages still is absolutely part of the county role. So it's just where the actual business rules for that determination live are in CalHERS. I know that sometimes gets confusing, so I want to make sure I kind of bifurcated out the differences.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from PSC members? And now I'll move on to any public comment. All right, hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next, which is Benefits Cal transition update.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lulu Fu. I am the Accenture Benefits Cal PMO lead. I'm happy today to report on how the progression of the transition status is. So back in February, we came over and started to conduct the transition for the Benefits Cal's M&O services. 6 months is the transition timeline, and we are now in 6 months. We are 12 business days away from the final go, no-go decision and the cutover activities, which is on target towards the end of July. As you can see on the chart, there's actually 4 major activities that we were doing. KT plowing through the code and hundreds of documentations, job shadow, observing the Deloitte team led by Onar and Mufado to see all areas of production operations. And then, of course, reverse job shadow, where Accenture takes the chair and begin to demonstrate our ability to perform the same task. And then final is cutover. The red bar that you see there is an indicator of where we are. It is misplaced in the wrong place. It should be at where we are the end of July, just for correction. But we are on target for cutover based on where we are. Moving to the next slide. I'm going to start with KT. That was the first part of our methodology and phase. KT is 100% done. Job shadow is 100% done. Reverse job shadow, as of yesterday, went from 76% on the slide to 100% done. And then our cutover activity is also progressing in the high 90s to also completing the review targeted for next week. So at this point, the chart that we show below there just represent the reverse job shadow activity. That will be all in dark blue at this point. So all system is indicating that we are on target for a cutover of July, the end of July. There are 2 risks that we wanted to highlight here, and then 1 issue. The first of risk is the Deloitte team's availability to bring their staff to do transition activity while they are maintaining the same level of performance and operations for the Benefit Cal system. Of course, now that we have completed all of our job shadow, this risk is low and it is scheduled to be retired at the end of July. And then we also have another risk called risk 339. This is basically SonarQ is our code quality scanning tool. This particular tool was licensed by the Deloitte team in the Deloitte environment. What we are doing in transition is procuring a new license for CalSoft. During this migration, this was the last tool that we needed to make sure that it's working and migrated prior to cutover. I think at this point, we are still on target. We have the software procured, and then we have installed, and now we're configuring it, and we're just going to do a comparison between old and new to make sure that everything, the configuration is matching what we expected in the new implementation of the software. So again, that one is targeted for closure as well. The last issue is one of our favorite issue, which is for our offshore team. We needed to make sure that their access into the Benefits Cal environment is established. We have started this issue. Well, this was a risk back in April as we were coming close to the end of our month of July. We actually needed to make sure that that was enabled. And one of the things that we were doing was was just ensuring that the configuration of the offshore team from the Accenture team access back into the CalSTARS Benefits Cal environment is consistent with the most level of security protocol that we have in place. So for this particular issue, as of yesterday, it is now closed. The Accenture offshore team has validated and they have actually all have access. A lot of work has been put into this from the Deloitte team as well from the Gainwell team and the consortium security team. So we really appreciate the fact that this is now closed. So pretty much everything that we were worried about and we were creating and managing, it is now also resolved. So I think this is pretty much the recap of where we are, and I'm going to turn it over to Eduardo for any questions.
All right, thank you, we appreciate that. And so any questions or comments from our PSC members? All right, I don't see any. And how about any public comment? So we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you all into our Benefits Cal update.
Good morning, this is Frederick Gaines, Benefits Cal Director. We're going to briefly talk about our HR1 activities through Benefits Cal. This first slide that you are seeing is the side-by-side between our CalFresh and our Medi-Cal programs. Our ABOD functionality went into released in beginning of June, in the beginning of June. And then as Roger mentioned, our true functionality will be going in this weekend. On the Medi-Cal side, we have a couple of releases there. And as mentioned before earlier with Sharon, we are tracking the work requirements and the new requirements that DHCS will be providing for us a little bit later. Next slide, please. And this is just a timeline of those items that were shown on the previous screen. So you see that ABOD and True are about out the door. And then we have our semi-annual and then work requirements later on this year. Moving into our next slide. So this is just a synopsis of what we have in the system for our CalFresh ABOD time limits. So you'll see that for CalFresh ABOD time limits exemptions, the screening form was integrated into Apply for Benefits workflow. So easy for work requirements and exemptions to be reported by our customers. When they put that, when they apply for those exemptions or those work requirements, it will generate the form that will be then submitted over to the CalSTARS side. That's in the application flow. And then we also have for active cases, the CalFresh ABOD time limit exemption screening form and other ABOD requests can be sent as well. Next slide, please. This slide shows that if there are ABOD eligible persons on the case in the Benefits Cal dashboard, the customer's dashboard, you will see your ABOD's tracking months when you access that portal. And then there's also the explaining ABOD policy, helpful tool tips, and those types of things that are also available to the customers. Next slide. Moving into the income verification tool, we like to think of it as a data collection tool for income for our customers. So these three screenshots basically show how the customer will access the True platform through the Benefits Cal program. They'll first be asked if they would like to use the True platform. If they choose to, they can go ahead and agree and move forward, or they can always use the add manual process, which they currently do today. And then as they move over, once they connect to their employer, they will see a screen when they come back of the summary of what they've approved. And then at that point, they can either accept and complete their application, they can review their pay stubs, or they can, again, at any time back out and enter their annual income manually, their income manually. And then the next slide is the Medi-Cal. These are the different items that are coming later on this year. So we have the applicant to submit renewal for multiple household members in the same group by completing flow process, and enables applicants to report Medi-Cal work requirements within the renewal and application flow. One thing to note with the True, we did have our webcast for the counties earlier this month, so they are, we just show them the walkthrough from the Benefits Cal side as well as from the CalSAW side. So we did also send out CIT information with quick guides on the Benefits Cal side, and that went out to the counties, and that quick guide is also presented on the calsaws.org for anybody to access for instructions. And I think that's my last slide, and I will turn it back over to Eduardo.
Thank you, Frederick. Any questions or comments from our PSC members? Okay, how about any public comment? All right, thank you. We will now move on to our foster care eligibility determination, or our FSET update.
Good morning, everybody. This is Corey Morris, Policy Design Lead for FSED. We are in the middle of Prod Exam right now. Prod Exam started on June 22nd. For those of you who don't know what Prod Exam is, it is a test environment where we've uploaded production data into it and connected that environment with CARES, allowing counties to kind of use that as a sandbox for them to play around in the system, test the functionality, analyze their business processes to see any impacts, do all that good stuff before we go live in October. We did onboard 467 county staff into the environment. We provided 7 sessions with those staff to kind of teach them the functionality, get them ready to go. We connected 88% of our AAP cases to CARES cases, 91% of our KIN-GAP cases, and 77% of our foster care cases are connected in that environment. We do have some upcoming things going in Prod Sam. We're going to be providing the CalSAW staff with a list of CARES PPOCs. That way they can coordinate with the CARES side of the house to conduct those tests and any information they need to pass back and forth. And also we have a couple of refreshes happening. One is happening, I believe, late July. And then I think we have another one happening late August. So we'll keep counties updated on when those are identified for sure. But we do have a couple refreshes. Also, hot off the press is we will be providing support for the CARES ILT training, both systematically and functionally, from the CalSAW side. So that is supposed to be kicking off at the end of July, and we will be providing those support items for the CARES staff. Next slide. We do have 2 risks open in regards to FSED. The first one is risk 324. This one was opened because there was actually a delay in Prod Sam. It was still supposed to start in the end of May. However, it didn't start until June 22nd. However, we've kept this risk open because we want to monitor those refreshes and any items that are kind of lingering in the Prod Sam environment. So we're not ready to close this yet, although it is in better shape than it was before. We also have risk 334. Originally, we had planned to implement a vendor API, bypassing the eligibility staff and going directly to your RDB maintainers. However, CARES had indicated they don't have capacity to get that in for V1. They have implemented an interim solution so that we are not going to be hindered come go live. However, that API is not going to be introduced with V1. But we wanted to keep this risk open so it doesn't fall off our radar. We get that to counties as soon as possible. Next slide. We have a number of OCM activities that are happening in regards to FSED. We have the monthly bulletins and the newsletters are going out to county staff to kind of feed them information in little bits. We have system demonstrations that have happened. We had our first series from April to May, and we're currently in the second series with the next demo presentation happening on July 22nd. And that is going to be highlighting the security and tasks. We have a number of resource materials that we have provided and will provide to counties. We are currently working through all the existing job aids and updating those according to FSED functionality, as well as identifying additional job aids that we need to create for this process. We have a number of WBTs that are going to be issued in regards to FSED, and quick guides are being updated. We have 2 already posted and a number that are going to be coming out sooner than later. We've also provided a number of additional resources in the communications portal, such as a glossary to get counties introduced to FSED terms, and a couple of data mapping sheets that we're going to be providing as well. Also next week, we'll be providing counties with a survey. We kind of want to gauge the temperature of the counties, identify their level of preparedness for go live, and help us to identify any more areas that we can focus on. So look for that to come out next week. And whenever we get the results back, we'll kind of gather and determine what we can do to assist the counties to increase their security in go live. Next slide, please. We've identified 3 areas for implementation support. First is the pre-go live. That consists of all the information that I just highlighted with the OCM activities, the job aids, the quick guides, the demonstrations, and also the newsletters and bulletins. We have identified go live activities to validate for FSED, AP, and KINGAP scenarios, conducting smoke testing at go live to make sure the environments are acting as they're supposed to. And also post go live, we have committed to at least 2 weeks of support for the counties post go live. However, that will be evaluated at the end of 2 weeks to see if that needs to continue further. We're going to be providing both OCM side support as well as project team support for the go live activities. Next slide. And finally, we've been asked a lot about mitigation. A lot of red flags are up, wanting to know what if the system doesn't happen October? What if things go down? What is the mitigation plan? We have been discussing with CARES, and it has been decided that counties will just revert to what they're doing now, going back to paper processes. However, we are working with CARES to identify how we're going to communicate the need to go back to that process. And so that's being worked out between the 2 systems right now, and we will get back to counties as soon as that's identified. Staff can manually enter like they do today. They'll instead of getting the APIs, they'll get the information via paper processes. The one caveat to this is LA does have a specific automation that is happening right now for them. And so going back to that initial process of what they're doing now, we're confirming with CARES that they continue to send that data report to their data mart in order for that automation to continue to happen. Those communications are in the process. We're pretty confident that that is going to be able to be put in place for the mitigation effort for LA as well. LA staff is working hard with us and CARES to make sure that they're covered as well if something should happen or issues should arise at Go Live. And that's all that I had for FSED, so I'll turn it back to you, Eduardo.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that. Is there any questions from our PSC members?
Sure.
From CARES ProdSim environment, which CalSauce environment is it talking to during the test?
I believe we set up System 7 is connected to the CARES environment, System 7.
So our teams in the counties is accessing that System 7 during.
Correct. We've got them all set up, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions from PSC members? Any public comment? All right. With that, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one, which is data and analytics update.
Good morning. My name is Robert Lusk. I'm the Chief Information Officer here at CalSauce. Just want to lay the groundwork for what we're doing with analytics and why. We've talked about this before, but we have some new people here, so I just want to kind of go over it at a high level, and then I'll turn it over to Rajesh to talk about some of the details. So we currently have a very structured reporting solution with really limited self-service functionality. And what we want to be able to do is have a more robust and flexible analytics solution that allows us, number one, during this first phase of this year, to give us the exact same reports that you get now, but really lay the groundwork and the foundation to allow greater self-serve functionality so that users can pull this information in a more timely manner to give you the information you need when you need it. So I'll turn it over to Rajesh to talk about some of the details.
Thanks, Robert. Let's go to the next slide. My name is Rajesh Teliani, CalSauce Project Manager. Let's kind of step through the timeline. There are multiple threads, right now, work in progress. If I look at the analytics infrastructure, most activities are behind us, with the exception of Power BI license, what features we want to leverage. We continue to collaborate with Don and Gainwell on that front and hope to have a handle on that in the next week or so, I believe. And then on the platform front itself, the intake module is almost nearing completion. We are very, very excited for a county preview phase, which we plan to kick it off on July 27th. I believe there is roughly 170 individuals have signed up for that. Very excited on that front, and we'll get the feedback, through that phase. It's a couple of weeks, and we'll then integrate that feedback into the intake module, and this process will follow for other modules as well. On the continuing eligibility, design, we continue to make good progress. I believe we are roughly halfway through on that front. At the same time, we continue to build the dashboards and reports as well. So we are roughly 50% on that module, and then we have started the pre-work on case characteristics. As you can see here, multiple threads are kind of work in progress here. So the workload, not only on the team but also on the work group, will continue to go up for the next 3 or 4 months or so. In parallel, we do recognize that OCM is going to play a big role here. We have started some pre-work there, but more to come on that front, in the subsequent months. If you go to the next slide, please. So this is a little bit more detailed update. Intake, as I mentioned, design dev 100% complete, testing 75% complete. And when we say testing 75% complete, this is more or less, getting ready for county preview. We still have a lot to do from performance testing, making sure all the measures tick and tie compared to the existing reports. A lot of that work is still yet to be happen. Continuing eligibility, again, good progress on design. Dev, it's slightly, it's kind of trailing the design, but continue to make good progress overall on this front. Let's go to the next slide. So one of the, questions keep coming up is, with the HR1, will the counties have enough time to engage on this, very, very important, topic? So we thought, why don't we share some of the feedback we received from the first module. As you can see, we did receive 363 responses, and, we got the feedback from all regions. And as we've been kind of, suggesting that the feedback should focus more on the business definitions, calculations, and not so much towards the look and feel, or if I need to add another drop down or a different filter criteria. Counties will get multiple opportunities on that front during the county preview phase. So I think, and the feedback has been in line with what we've been, suggesting overall. Let's go to the next slide. So the next couple of slides, we will show some sample dashboards we have built as part of intake module. This is the periodic report monthly, and at a glance, you can see like how many reports are outstanding. It gives you the data on timeliness, the processing rates, what's the customer rate of return. So overall, at a quick glance, it kind of answers some of the key business metrics. And of course, it does provide you a drill down capability. So any number, the user can click and get the individual cases behind that number. Let's go to the next slide. So this is another, sample dashboard on pending applications, which kind of gives you some of the key metrics like pending applications by county, how many are overdue, how many are processed today, and a lot of that information is available at, with like 1 or 2 clicks basically here. Let's go to the next slide. So there has been a risk at the start of the project in terms of the county participation. I'm glad to report that all the sessions we consistently had 100 plus participants in the design review providing feedback. We got similar response for the first phase of county preview. So right now we'll continue to monitor this risk. It's low, but we certainly understand counties are busy with HR1. But all in all, so far, things are looking good here on the front. The last. There's nothing here. We do have the good representation for all the personas from all the regions. This was something was put together early during the project startup phase, but no concerns here on this front. So the next slide, please. I believe this was an action item, Del, from you. you had requested, will the counties have access to the data underlying the dashboards? And the short answer there is yes.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Robert and Rajesh. So are there any questions or comments from our PSC members?
Hi, Jamae Duncan. I do have a question. Back on slide 39, yes, when we're drilling down on that, because I have managers that service multiple sites. And so at the manager level, will they be able to select multiple locations, oh, no, not that slide, the other slide. The next one. Nope, go back. That one. Yeah. Whatever slide that is.
Yeah.
Okay. Will the manager have the capability, or is it being designed so that the manager has the capability to look at multiple locations to find out what the outstanding work is?
I will have to take an action item on that, check with the team and report back. I think my instinct says yes, but I can confirm there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Jamae. Any other questions from PSC?
I have a quick question. When you're going through your sessions, are you able to, and I don't know if you have open office hours after your sessions, where you'll may be able to explain the logic behind the data? Because sometimes counties have developed their own reporting system, their own reporting infrastructure. But we acknowledge that CalSAS is also building a reporting infrastructure, but often then we will be made to compare the county's data against CalSAS data, but maybe because we're comparing county data with another system within a county. But are you able to share the logic that's built into the CalSAS data reporting so that we can replicate if we need to on the county side?
100%. If you look at it, our design, Sandeep will chime in, but go ahead. Yeah.
I think, this relates to Dell's question as well. Like underneath these dashboards will be data products, which are used to build these dashboards. And along with this, the data products will have a data catalog. In that, there will be a description of how that definition was arrived, and also lineage as to which underlying tables were used to come up with that. So that way, you all can get a full picture of these data elements and make sure that it matches what you think was the answer.
Right. Okay, perfect.
So there's no mystery how you came up.
Yes. I don't like the mystery box. I never like mystery boxes. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for that. Any additional questions from PSC? How about any public comment? Okay, thank you. We will go ahead and move on to our infrastructure update.
Hello, Robert again. I'll talk about at a high level what we're doing with the Oracle to AWS database as we look to improve both flexibility, performance, and look at cost avoidance. We're looking at moving from a Oracle dedicated solution to a on-prem in AWS. So these are our dedicated systems in Amazon data centers themselves, dedicated to our functionality. And this is going to, again, increase our capacity, resilience, as well as help with cost avoidance and give us the flexibility to more target performance challenges that we may have so we can prevent them. Then I'll turn it down for some details.
So if you want to go to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about the when. Hopefully at this point, this is not a surprise. We've been talking about it here for a few months, but we wanted to remind everyone, we are at this point moved past our performance testing. Our environments are stood up and ready, and we are actually tracking our way through with our M&E partner on their August release. So as they are in development, they are hooked up to this new database. As they are in their testing cycles, they are hooked up to the new database. And then when that release rolls in August, we will also bring over the AWS Oracle to match it so that it will all deploy together in August. So that's the intention on that one. We can go on to the next slide. Just a quick reminder, we've talked about this one before as well. There is a risk open on this particular item. It's over there on the right if you want to read it, along with the mitigation actions we've been taking on this. Largely that risk is related to making sure that we fully and adequately test and plan this so that we do not have an impact on the counties when we swap in our new database server. We had some items there on the left that we're watching. So basically making sure that everyone is aware of the upcoming change, which is why you're hearing about it again today. And then we had some environmental constraints in terms of making sure that we got in between all of the releases that were going on. And as you can hear, we did coordinate with the M&E partner to design that. We had a couple of technical items we were watching, and I am pleased to announce that both of those technical items have been completed and closed as it relates to this particular project. If we go to the next slide, we do have some divider slides in here, so because I have a number of topics. So you can see I'm changing topic on you to identity and access management. And a quick reminder here, as you know, we've been using ForgeRock, renamed to Ping, but no matter what, we were going to have to do a major change. As you remember, we had no choice. The upgrade to ForgeRock was a major change, large project. And so we took that opportunity to determine if that was really the best product still for the organization. It was determined that, in fact, Okta would be the better solution long term and set us up for being able to do some additional things in this arena. And so you can see what our guiding principles were here on this particular project. So again, that's just a bit of a reminder. If we can go to the next slide, let's talk a little bit about timeline. We've been working on developing the timeline for this rollout. We've had some draft dates. One of these dates still may be a little bit on the draft side, but we have got this pretty well nailed down at this point. So although we are going to be rolling out some tools and shared services, which is behind the scenes, no one should notice that in that November timeframe. The real time that we are going to start to impact folks outside of the project area or noticeably in any way impact anyone is December, where we're going to roll core CalSAWS over to the Okta platform. Originally, this was planned for December 21st at the time of development of the slide. We do know that the M&E team has been looking at some changes in the release schedule, so this might move to December 14th, but it is going to be December on one of those 2 weekends. And then last but not least, Benefits Cal also needs to move over, and when we are targeting that is January 10th. So at that time, Benefits Cal access would be via the Okta rather than the ForgeRock product. The biggest change we see for county staff in this project is to your delegated admins, and we are going to have a full training sessions for them, as well as, of course, hypercare and all of the usual things that are available when there is changes to county staff. We can go to the next one, please. Again, this risk we've talked about before over on the side. Very similar to the last one. If we don't get the user journeys and all of our planning and testing correctly, obviously we are talking about the identity access management front door to the systems. We could have a negative impact, and you can see the mitigations there. Again, with change, the watch items on the left, delegated administrator changes, as I just mentioned, and then again, awareness, and we continually walk through in our testing to be sure that we do not see any other impacts to county staff. Were that to arise, we of course will immediately let you know, and we would immediately engage for training, et cetera. But at this time, we do believe it's going to be delegated admin, but we are not all the way through the full testing cycle yet. Technically, we had a workflow license item that we had to work out with Okta. That has been completed, and we are just entering the functional testing phase. So we do have, for example, our GA/GR correspondence module in testing with Okta. That is going well. So that module today in a test environment can respond both from Ping or from an Okta login. So we have actually entered into the start of our testing phase here. All right, next slide, and I'm going to change topic again. So Highland upgrade. This is the first slide in an awareness, again, campaign, if you will. Want to let people know this is coming. We are in the planning phase, so not a lot of details here today. We're going to sort of, like the other ones, work our way into more details as the planning goes on. But I did want you to be aware that this is coming. Again, Highland, obviously, the imaging solution, it runs on a product that they have today called Perceptive. Their Perceptive product is being phased out. So this is more than just an upgrade. This is actually a fairly large change in terms of our needing to roll this out as, again, more than just an upgrade. This is more than just a version with a few extra features. This is moving from their Perceptive product to a different product line, which is Titan. What will that do for us? So first and foremost, we don't have a choice. Perceptive is being phased out. But there are lots of advantages to moving to Titan. It is a much more forward-looking particular product. So, for example, there are increased features available in Titan. One of them I know that you all are interested in. Now, again, just doing the upgrade doesn't integrate that new feature into CalSAWS. That all has to be planned out and worked. But the door opens to us for intelligent document processing. So again, intelligent document processing and ability to actually know better what form you're on, pick up the data off that form more reliably, and actually do more intelligent workflows with it. Again, this particular product opens that door. There would need to be a series of projects after that to make use of that functionality, but it gets us on that road to be able to start using that functionality incorporated right into the system. We get it with the upgrade. Increased functional expansion. So again, there are better workflows, a better, in our opinion, it's a better GUI. So customer interface, which is where the big amount of training will be for Highland going to Titan, is we do have an interface look and feel difference that we will be working through with your staff on to be sure that they're comfortable with that. All of the functionality is still there. There's actually some increased functionality, which we may be able to take advantage of again in the future, but we will be focusing on that change in the actual interface with the county staff. And then we do have some increased flexibility. We should be able to move quicker on making some changes in the Highland system. It's more configurable than the one that we have today. So some changes can be made with less effort. All right, next slide. And again, there'll be more coming on this. You can see we haven't even made the bar yet on the we are here there. We are in planning. This is initial awareness, right? That I just want you to not be surprised when we start talking about the Highland upgrade to Titan. But we are going to be going into the planning phase here very shortly, starting in August. We got some pre-planning done, as you can see. We got to go through all of the usual stuff. Stand up the environments, get through all of our development and all of our testing and all of our performance testing and all of our organizational change management, because there is user interface changes that will be occurring here. Training, testing, all of the usual stuff, with a planned go live in July of 2027. So we are looking at about a year out from here. And there will be county involvement in this as we go along. But again, don't have specific dates, don't have specific details, but wanted to get this on your radar because this one will have an effect on the counties. And I do believe that may be my last slide. So back to Eduardo.
Thank you, Don and Robert, for those updates. Any questions or comments from the PSC members?
A question.
Dale? Sorry.
Couple of questions. Thank you. Thank you, Don, for the detailed presentation. On the benefits cal, right, regarding the Okta migration, I'm assuming that there is going to be no impact to the customer, right, logging in to benefits cal. Can you talk about that, how you're mitigating that?
Yeah, so at this point, again, as I said, we are in testing right now. So we're verifying all of our going in assumptions. But our going in assumption has been, in working closely with Okta, that the general public should not notice the change. We are verifying that. We're going to make sure that that is the right answer. Should we find that at any time during our testing, we identify something, maybe the MFA looks a
Right,
little
that's what I'm-
different, we will then need to talk about, public campaign and getting information out to
Right.
the counties. But as it stands right now, we have not run into anything that they should notice.
Okay, yeah, that was my primary concern, is having to go through the whole setting up of credentials and MFA. So I'm assuming that I guess that's what you're verifying, whether the MFA and everything is gonna come across and.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool.
That is what we're verifying. So all the discussion, all the planning indicates not. But, been doing this long enough that until we see it, I am not prepared to say that there's nothing. Sometimes it comes at you when you get into testing, but that's the going in plan.
Good thing is that we'll find out early enough that there could be plans made and whatnot to be able to communicate. Okay. On the Highland area, I have a question there. So you mentioned that this is being phased out, similar to what you did in the Forest Rock environment. Did you all do an assessment as to how, it sounds like you guys are on board that Highland Titan is the best solution or a much better solution, but was that assessment also done, or was there enough time there for you all to do an assessment as to, are there solutions out there that could give, better functionality set or?
So I would not say that there was an in-depth an assessment done as there was with the Okta Forge Rock. We certainly do always speak to the potential competing products. The timeline and the disruption to you all in going with a competing product did make it seem like it was not as viable as an option as it was with Okta. But yes, we did not just blindly say, let's go to Titan. But Titan has some very nice improvements and upgrades, things that you have been asking for and wanting.
Sounds good. That's the other question that I had, and sorry to take up so much time, but as far as needs from the counties or possible SERs that may be in the cache of all SERs that have been submitted as far as imaging, is there going to be an opportunity to look at those and see what items could be handled? I'm thinking of things like the need, for example, to translate documents. So it would be ideal if a document comes in a non-English language, that the imaging solution would be able to show me the English version of that document automatically, right? That would be ideal, and that it would be part of the imaging solution, not something that I have to take it outside, translate it, and then be able to see it. That way you have or English-only workers be able to handle any kind of workload. Especially in LA County, that's pretty important.
Yeah, you all have a whole series of suggestions into us on the imaging solution. Those have all been reviewed against with Highland, and most of those that have not proceeded forward have been because Perceptive limits our ability to do them.
Gotcha.
But you are absolutely correct, and I knew you were going to ask me this question. That we are absolutely correct that we are looking at those suggestions that you've made. And we will also be having discussions with you all, just like we do with the contact center roadmap stuff, to be sure that we have those ideas. Because if it's something that could go forward right there with the Highland Titan upgrade, might consider that. Obviously, our focus is going to be get to Titan and then do the improvements. But absolutely, analyzing all of those things that you have sent in that we haven't been able to do with Perceptive, and make sure that they are identified with either solutions in Titan, or we find out that we won't be able to do it. But in most cases, those are actually on hold waiting for Titan.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. So I know there's a couple. First, I'm going to in the room. Clarissa, did you have a question? And I'll go to Rachel after that.
Just a question on Okta again. For those counties who are already on Okta, I think I asked this before, will there be an Okta integration with those counties, with our current?
So in that timeline that I just showed you, the answer is no. We have to focus on getting everybody over in a controlled and smooth manner, right? After that occurs, then I do know that we have some counties queued up for different models they're interested in. We are going to need to take a look at what solutions we can offer. And we also have a couple more phases of Okta that is enhanced capability. So I would say not now. But as always, we are open to the suggestions and working through that with you after we get to Okta.
So for those counties who are on Okta, they'll have two Okta versions on their test.
Well, it's going to look, it'll look like it does today. As you're logging into CalSAWS, you're really logging into CalSAWS, right? It's Okta behind the scenes that's responding. Your staff don't know that. It just looks like CalSAWS, right?
Okay, the user interface will look exactly the same.
Yes, absolutely.
But if it was integrated, then we would log into Okta and there'll be a chiclet in Okta.
Yes, so you would basically, as you said, it's going to look exactly like it does today to your users. A lot of what we do, like Oracle and AWS, the theory is it's behind the scenes and you shouldn't notice. And hopefully there are improvements then along the way because we're on the right path, or you see some performance improvements or things like that. But in these two projects, Okta and Oracle at AWS, other than what I've called out with delegated admin, at this moment, we do not see any other changes to the counties. It should look like normal.
Thank you.
And then you're going to use that against me in the end when I come back and say I have to change something. I know, Clarissa, come on. We will let you know as soon as possible, though, if our testing reveals something.
You and question from Rachel?
Yeah, not so much a question as an observation. I'm looking at the timeline here. 2 months seems a very short window of time for training and performance testing before go live. Just, thinking of lessons learned from workload management, observations and feedback. Especially for a region where we have a lot of small counties with not a lot of resources. Just wanted to highlight that. I'm already feeling some anxiety over that short window of time to bring staff up to speed on going into what you had said was going to be a very different looking system. With Titan over Perceptive. So just an observation, just sharing some anxiety about that.
Yeah,
Dawn, I can address this.
Go ahead.
So I want to clarify, we are moving to Titan, which is, it's not a brand new solution. It is an upgrade of Perceptive content. Our version of Perceptive content is going away and being phased out. So Titan is a newer version of it. From an operational change management, my team is working on doing the comparison. Look and feel, color scheme is going to be different. But as far as the flow that your staff go through now, that will be relatively unchanged. A button placement might be moved, but the button will still be the same. And if there's anything specific that is a vastly different, we are going to call that out early. We are going to make sure that we're communicating with the counties through the imaging committee, as well as if there's any compatibility. We've already sent out a CIT regarding scanners, compatibility with Titan, but it is in the same line. It's just the most recent upgraded, and our version is going away. So it's not completely brand new. Everything's going to be different. So I just want to level set that expectation.
Yeah, and that, thanks for the clarification, Danny, because when I said user interface, that is what I'm referring to. Look and feel. Your workflows and functionality are still there. It is all about the look and feel. As far as the testing goes, keep in mind that this slot here is really sort of that formal last testing. But I appreciate the feedback, and we'll take a look at that. Keep in mind that from our perspective, we've been testing quite a ways back before that. This is sort of that last formal, everybody gets a chance to sort of take a look at it. But I appreciate the feedback, and we will certainly work that into the conversation. Again, this is pre-planning work you have in front of us, mostly to show you our target go live date. I expect adjustments along the way here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments from PSC? Seeing none, any public comment? Thank you. Great discussion on that item. We'll go ahead and move on to contact center updates.
Yeah, so I think you're back to me. Linnell wasn't able to make it today, so I will go ahead and introduce. So again, there are multiple topics in this area, so you're going to see divider slides again. Our first one was for call summarization. Just a quick entry of the timeline here for the rollout. A little hard to read here, but it is in your slide deck, so you can take a look at it. What the big news here really is that Orange and Contra Costa did go live. So as of last Friday, both of those counties are live, and they are. We were there for both of them on the first day. Contra Costa had us there for 2 days, but both counties shoot us out and said they had it and we're going fine. So a few small things were identified that we could improve the product. We have already implemented those that last weekend, right after the go live day. They were about specific use cases, not call summarization in general, but specific use cases. So that has already occurred, and we are on to our next group 1 set of counties, which is Marin, San Francisco, and San Mateo, and these will start to move relatively quickly. Clarissa's happy. These will start to move fairly quickly every 2 weeks in the group 1, and then we'll be moving on to group 2. So we can go to the next slide. I did want to give you a little bit of an update on the metrics since launch, and this is since launch of the Placer pilot. Of course, we all know that Fresno has been using call summarization for some time, but these metrics are really against the version, which is more, we had stopped and we talked about it, made it more configurable, maintainable, etc. So these stats are against the version everyone is rolling to, and including Fresno, who will be moving over to it as well. But it works the same from a user perspective, both the Fresno and this one. It's all just behind the scenes again that the differences are. So since April 10th through July 3rd, so this was Placer only, doesn't include Orange and Contra Costa, who actually had over 1,000 agents who were added on Friday to the solution. But Placer, since they went live, has done over 14,000 summaries. They've averaged about 4 seconds. With the addition of Orange and Contra Costa, we ran the stats on Friday and Monday, and we were running at about 3.7 on average for the summary to come up, and all summaries come up within 60 seconds. The reduction in the after call work time, about 4.25%. And then you can see the handle time reduction as well as about 5%. And they are accepting over 80% of the content as is. But of course, as always, they can edit whatever they would like. And we have been getting some really good feedback that the counties that have gone live have made use of that video, which is available, which tries to address the concerns around, is it perfect? Is it going to replace me? I mean, it really tries in a lighthearted way to go at those concerns versus just technically here's how you use it, right? We have gotten some really good feedback from that, so I would suggest take a look at it, see if it fits into your county and the culture that you have, and you might take a look at it because it does seem to send the message that it's a tool and that it will still make mistakes and that you are still the vital part as the agent. You're still the vital part of this process, talking to the individual. This is just a tool to help you go faster at the end. And we did find some folks who have said that to our people out in the field. Very excited about the fact that within just a few seconds, they had a draft summary, which is really more of the busy work, right? So we've been getting good feedback on it. So that's where we are with call summarization. If you want to go to the next slide. We had talked about this before, but just a reminder on this slide on the right is a list of things that if your group isn't up yet, that you can be working on now to make sure that you're ready ahead of time. And if you have any questions about those, the call center meetings are a great place for you folks to get those answered. Things we're watching on the left, county readiness, making sure that we update the materials after each group as things change, like we introduced a few advantages in this last one that were some edge cases, so we get those things updated. And technically, we have completed both the things we were watching, which is pilot, and the performance has been sustained even with the addition of Orange and Contra Costa. So if we go to the next slide, I am going to change topics on you. Another thing we're doing in the contact center area, or actually have done, because again, we heard you, we came in actually with a different roadmap in mind of the order of things we were going to address. But when we got here, this one was one we got a lot of feedback on, and it wasn't terribly positive. And so we really moved this up in the roadmap. Things that people were concerned about was the fact that there was a lag in the information, because again, you're doing everything in AWS, and then it would have to get pumped over to eGain, and then there would be a change in eGain or in AWS, and then that would take sometimes weeks, if not longer, to make that reflect in the schema over on eGain. Simply, nobody was doing anything wrong. There was just another party in the middle, and that introduces delays and lags, right? There was limited ability to do reporting, so you couldn't, just because we had the data in AWS didn't mean the data was in eGain, so you couldn't necessarily use it to create a report. The dashboards were quite lagging. They were over a minute and a half to get through them. And as I already talked about, there were data inconsistencies because AWS would define something a certain way, but eGain was defining it differently. So these are all things that you let us know about right away. You can see inside the circle, so those are the things on the outside of the circle. The inside of the circle is letting you know what our solution was and how we addressed those things that you told us. So we did move to AWS Quick. That allows you to actually do reporting off of anything in the AWS data lake, because we did stand up the AWS data lake, which means you're not just limited to what used to be pumped to eGain. It's all the data that's sitting in the data lake. You do not have to now log into somewhere else to get access to that. You used to have to log into a different system. Now you're still within Connect and Quick, and you can work right from there. The dashboards will refresh in about 15 seconds now on the refresh rate, because again, there's nobody in the middle, right? And reporting data, the source is AWS. So there's only one definition of the data, right? It's the AWS definition. So we took this one on pretty quickly, and this seemed to be the obvious answer to all of the concerns you had. There are other maintainability reasons to do this as well, but this one had a big functional impact to your contact center folks, for those of you who are on the CalSAS contact center. And we did go live June 12th, and I didn't get anyone escalating to me, which is my first barometer, right? We've gotten good feedback on it. We set up individual meetings.
I would never hurt him.
For counties that wanted to have one-on-one conversations with us. Lots of counties have taken advantage of that to assist them in this transition, but you all have been live on it since June 12th. And I just wanted to sort of highlight, because we've tried a couple of times and ran out of time. So I wanted to highlight for you that we had accomplished this item based on the feedback we've gotten from you all. Next slide, we'll go on to another piece of roadmap functionality. Again, changing topics on you again, still on the contact center, but you all use Calabrio for a couple of things. So everyone is using a product called Calabrio for screen recordings and for storage of transcripts. That also has some interesting issues with it. And so you also have to go to a separate application. You have to go over to Calabrio if you want to get the screen recordings. So what we've done, and there's a lot of licensing and software involved in that. So sometimes county purchases are involved in order to add people, etc. So we are in the middle of this one in terms of replacing that. And again, there's a theme here. We're moving to the native product in AWS to again consolidate that into one place for you, eliminate the multiple logins. We should also be able to make it possible for it to be easier to access for more people, because it'll be inside of AWS as well. And there's really reduced costs, right, with being able to move it over there. Now, I know that there are some concerns about for those counties who do use workforce management. Not all of our contact center ones do. We are in close conversation with those of you who are using this workforce management to be sure that the AWS solution will meet the needs. And so once we are fully through that analysis, we will know for sure that this is going to cut it for us, if you will. But at this point, the intention and the roadmap is to move to the AWS native solutions here to simplify, reduce costs, and provide you with easier access to this information. If we go to the next one, I'm going to change topics one more time. Last one for contact center. We actually have a few more things going on in contact center, like we've started to work on DR for you. We'll bring that to you at another meeting. But just wanted to get these that are already underway. So as you know, there is for those of you who are on the contact center, there is a call control panel that actually comes with AWS. In the event that something is wrong with this custom one, which is called ECCP, that's actually the one you use. So you already are using that particular standard control panel. That control panel from AWS has had significant feature improvements. And we are of the opinion that we can probably phase this custom item out. This is in POC at this point. So we do not know for sure that we can do that, but I did want to get you a heads up that we are looking into that. Again, the functionality now appears to be duplicative of AWS. You know that ECCP has had some stability problems. I think we've got that managed better at this point, but it certainly has, and it has some additional licensing items with it. Whereas the AWS Cloud Control Panel is just a part of the product, works and integrates better with the contact center product that AWS offers. And will actually allow us to do better integration with the product. This again is sort of a separate thing out here that is not as fully integrated into the product as we'd like. And it prevents us from taking advantage of some of the new features that AWS is providing. So we're looking into it. Again, these are roadmap items. Some of them are farther along than others, but for awareness, we want to make sure you did know that these things were going on. And ever since the conference, I know you are all excited about new languages. We are working on those as well. They will be coming to you in an upcoming deck as well, I'm sure. But these are the ones that are most far along at this point. So contact center roadmap, fairly lengthy. We got a lot of things going on, and I'll just kind of keep highlighting some things for you every time we have some time to talk about it. And I think that's the end of it. Back to you, Eduardo.
All right. All right. Thank you, Don, for some exciting updates coming up. So looking forward to it. Is there any questions from PSC members? Okay. How about any public comment? Oh, I see Heather.
Yep.
Hi, this is Heather Willoughby from CCWRO. I was just curious, as a devil's advocate, at what point in time the client would be able to review whatever the call summaries might bring up. I just know that as a customer that has call summaries already established in like my medical portal, I sometimes know that I review them and the summary, even though it's been reviewed by the doctor, is still wrong. Is there going to be a functionality in Benefits Cal that'll give our clients the same functionality?
So keep in mind that what we're doing here is something that already occurs today by the agent. The agent is writing a call summary, and they are then putting that into the CalSAWS journal. It is not something that's in Benefits Cal. It is really just their summary and notes of that call. All that we're doing with call summarization is we're presenting to that agent an initial draft. The agent still reviews it, updates it, decides that it's correct, and then accepts it. So at the end of the day, the agent is still handling that summary. We're just giving them a tool so they have an initial draft.
That I understand. And this is kind of like a bigger question. Like, will these call summaries be used in, like, say, a hearing or something of that nature? In that case, we need to kind of know what the level of correctness is, especially if we don't know really the touch rate the agents are going to have with these summaries specifically. We just want to know. It's just we'd like to be able to give the client a chance to address if there was any errors.
So this is Holly. I think what Dawn was explaining is it's no different than what it is today. So whatever channels and paths you have today to view that kind of information with the counties as it ends up in a hearing, or that it's the same path.
Okay. All right, great, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any additional public comment? I see Amy Fleischman.
Yeah, hi, my name's Amy Fleischman. I'm actually a volunteer with CCWRO and I work with Heather. And I am a volunteer advocate. I don't see where this is the same thing. I'm actually using a CC of this meeting to follow along, closed captioning, which is effectively an AI. And there are a lot of mistakes. And if you're having over 80% that are happening without any changes, I have yet to see any sort of transcription tool that is that accurate. So I think that's where our concern lies. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Okay, seeing no more, we will now move on to release of information or RI updates.
Hello again, Frederick Gaines, Benefits Cal. So I'm just going to briefly go over the history of our release of information and where we're moving to in the future. So we started with what you have here is a timeline of previous activities that we completed from 2023 all the way up into 2025 and into 2026. The biggest note here now is that we do have the funding available to us that was in the state budget this fiscal year. So we are moving forward with our ROI activities into 2027. Next slide, please. So previously we reported out in this venue and in JPA and other venues our phased approach of the functionality from as we saw it at the time. So we had 4 phases here, a phase 1A, 1B, 2, and 3, based on the latest policy, ACL 2491 and ACWDL 2421. So that was what we previously presented. So we took this back and we wanted to review where we were and then where we needed to go to make this implementation. Moving into the next slide. So during our analysis, our planning outcomes, we determined that there are different dependencies. The entire CalSAWS system consortium will be involved in this. It's not strictly Benefits Cal. There will be CalSAWS impacts. There will also be infrastructure and impacts as well, technology impacts on that side. Some of them was mentioned earlier by Dawn when she did her output readout. So we have those, and then we also, in our phases, have decided that we believe that we'll be able to do this from 18 months, which was the previous 4 phases that we had, down to 12 months. So that's good news there. And then you'll see the no change to requirements, no changes to phase 1A scope. We removed phase 3, moved the items to either phase 1B or phase 2. Where appropriate activities in phase 1A, phase 1B will overlap. Both CalSAWS and Benefits Cal must be live on the new Okta system, the IAM system, prior to implementation. And we're ready to commence our planning activities related to CBO cleanups beginning as early as next month. Moving into the next phase, I will turn it over to Jason.
Morning, everyone. My name is Jason Horton. I am the application manager over the Benefits Cal effort coming in from the Accenture team. So I get to talk about the future. So we have now our 3 phases instead of 4. As Fred mentioned, we moved phase 3 into phases 1B and 2. Phase 1A is largely going to be, and I cringe to say it, requirements gathering and planning. I know that that is hard to hear because we've already done a lot of this, but we are going to need some slight modifications to the system to account for the new document that is going to be coming from DHCS and CDSS. That will happen concurrently with planning activities that we'll be taking with the infrastructure and core app teams to build out the phase 1B. If you have the slide output in front of you, you might be able to read the legend that shows some of the identifiers of what parts of phase 1B have impacts to each team. Some of them are CalSAWS and Benefits Cal, some are just Benefits Cal, and some are all three of us. That is going to sort of key into like how much coordination we need to have to make sure that this all goes forward. Phase 1B is targeted for 2703. That's March of this next year. And then phase 2 is mostly CalSAWS specific changes. However, there are going to be some coordinated changes between Benefits Cal and CalSAWS for things like the term reasons, as well as being able to take advantage of pending ROIs as you go through some of the downstream steps of RE reapplication and ESAP as sort of notifications as you're going through those. Moving on to the next slide. So this is the high level timeline. We are already started essentially. We're in the month of July. We are, as Fred mentioned, we are working on getting the CBO list pared down and make sure that it's accurate so that we have all the information to put into our IAM system. That is happening as we speak. We also are getting a work group together so that we can finalize the actual structure of the CBOs, the extra information that we need. That is in plan to pass that over to our IAM team so that they can put that in a test environment for us and get that ready by early November. So all of this, it shows dependencies, but there's really just milestones as we're going through and the coordination that exists between all three of our systems. As a personal note, a lot of our team has come over from CalSAWS, and we worked on this from the very beginning. We are excited to get this into production. We are definitely happy to be working on it. Some of us have children who are as old as how long this has been sitting out there, so we're ready to go. Back to
Wait, I also want to say that this is Frederick again. We will be engaging with all of our state partners, DHCS, CWDA, CDSS, as well as our county partners and our CBO and assisters. So we look forward to those invites. We are inviting everyone into this process. We are not working in a vacuum, so everyone will be involved in completing this.
Fred and Jason, appreciate those comments and updates. And is there any questions from PSC members? Seeing none, how about anything public comment? Excuse me. Not seeing any, we can go ahead and move on to the next one, which is our 2026 CalSAWS conference debrief.
All right, this is Holly Murphy again, and I'll ask Wendy to jump in here as well. We do appreciate the great turnout that we had at the conference at the end of June. We did receive some really great feedback from the conference. We have some very welcome suggestions for improvements, and Wendy, you're gonna maybe highlight a few of those for us.
I am Wendy Fireman. I'm the QA executive for ClearBest QA team, and help also with the conference planning along with Jen Sill and our conference elves, if you will. I just want to give you a debrief very quickly of the overall experience. We do have some additional data in the appendices as well for each of the individual plenary and breakout sessions. But overall, across the board, looking at our conference duration, which at the right time was well organized, do we have enough free time, and what was the overall experience? Overall, it was like we came in at like 4.6 out of a total of the elusive perfect 5, but it was actually an improvement from last year. We had 4.1 for our overall experience last year, so it looks like we did. We listened. We tried to incorporate some of your suggestions from the past year into this conference. Next slide. So we got some comments back about what you actually really liked, and there were a lot of comments around location, venue, and theme was really appreciated and enjoyed. A lot of comments came back about AI and innovation, hearing about call summarization and the other contact center updates. People said they loved hearing from the counties in the sessions and also the in-person networking. That was a theme that kept coming up over and over. And then a few kudos came in for the FSED session as well as the customer success stories at the end. Next slide. And of course, where can we improve for the next time? It ranged from nothing, which was we could take that all the way to adjusting time to allow for more Q&A. We know that some of our sessions, we had so much content. Our presenters were so enthusiastic about presenting that we ran out of time for actual Q&A, so we can definitely adjust those times. We have several comments about having more time for networking, either a short session or even having organized events after as part of the conference. The location breakfast, there's some things that we can actually adjust there as far as for our next venue. And then also I've got some feedback about the diversity of the stories that we were presenting. And if we do something similar again, we definitely want to get more diversity from our stories because we know we have a very diverse population in the state. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Holly to talk about planning for our next event.
So we had received some feedback from the JPA board of directors leading up to this conference to begin with. So we definitely want to take a moment here. We're going to send out a survey. I think it's going to go out on Monday to the directors or tomorrow, sorry, to the directors and of course PSC. And we're going to ask if you would be more likely to attend a member representative meeting. So remember, that was just the Friday morning portion of the conference. If you would be more likely to attend that if it were virtual and separate from the annual conference. And just as a reminder, we had a very close call on achieving quorum. So I would encourage to answer virtual. It was a very close call. But we're going to ask, do you want to proceed with having a conference in the same sort of format that we've had in the last 2-3 years? We know there are travel constraints. We know it's more and more challenging for you to take the time away from the office. There are a lot of benefits to having that all of us come together and supporting those connections as well, however. So we want to hear from you and how you would like to move forward there. Or would you prefer that we move to a more scaled down focus on strategic planning, which is something we have done in the past? Former C4 counties, former Cowan counties may have some familiarity with that, where we focus on just truly planning and road mapping and those types of exercises, or both. And if you do want to proceed with a conference, we will ask you to provide what month you would prefer that to take place and if you have a preferred location. So watch for that survey to come out, and then we'll be bringing the results back for more direction there. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Holly and Wendy. Appreciate that. And I'll make my quick comment here. Kudos to the staff and the team that put that together. I thought it was a great conference. I enjoyed all the sessions I was able to attend. A lot of good information, a lot of good takebacks, feedback received from my team as well. So thank you all for that. And with that, any questions or comments from PSC members? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, just one correction on this slide. As of, I think yesterday, I sent updated invitations for October, November PSC dates because there was some conflicts with CWDA meetings. So sorry, this slide should have been updated before it went live, but
we'll fix that.
Okay, thank you for that. So questions from PSC members? Any public comment? On to our state partners updates. I believe it's Office of OHSI or OTSI, apologies. Oh, excuse me, go back. I see Heather Willoughby.
I
Question?
apologize. Again, Heather Willoughby, CCWRO. I just wanted to thank you guys for also including advocates in that space. It really helped us to understand things in a more direct and intimate way. And we really appreciate all the connections with all the staff and all the things that happen. So if you do have another conference, we would love to be included again. It was really very beneficial. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now I think we can move on to our state partners updates.
Hi, good morning. This is Neha Dhawan from OTSI. I have a very quick update. We worked with CalSOS and DHCS to provide responses to CMS comments, and we continue to work towards a timely approval of CalSOS OAPDU. That's it from OTSI. Thank you.
CDSS?
Yes, hi, good morning. Martha Esparza with CDSS. I do have a few updates since our last meeting that include some recent policy changes, some ongoing stakeholder engagement, and a few sensitive implementation items. And I know we're running out of time, so I'll attempt to keep the updates at a high level. So beginning with policy letters, since our last PSC, the state has released 9 ACLs and ACIM policy letters. Beginning with 2633, the CalFresh waiver approval for denial of initial applications before the 30th day. There's also a new CAPI form, SOC 843, outlined in 2635 ACL. 2637, the use of income verification tools with the work number in truth. 2638 and 39, which provide information on the CalWorks vehicle limit and COLA updates. 2642, CalFresh treatment of Medicare Advantage supplemental benefits. 2643, ABOT exemption guidance using data administrative information. And then the 2 ACINs, I-2626, the new EBT disaster benefit type. And then I-2629 provides questions and answers for HR1 non-citizen eligibility. In regards to the CDSS stakeholder touchpoints, the state does continue to coordinate HR1 implementation through our county operations group and all partner advisory group. These meetings provide ongoing opportunities for counties, CalSOS, advocates, and partners to discuss implementation questions and upcoming policy changes. And the 2 meetings are the HR1 County Operations Group that meet every 3rd Tuesday of the month. And then the all-partner HR1 advisory group that meets every other month. And those have been scheduled through January of 2027. The time-sensitive update that I have is in regards to the ABOT time limit waiver. The state submitted a waiver request to USDA for 7 eligible counties for this ABOT waiver. In summary, Kings County would be the newly added to the waiver, and Alpine County would transition off beginning November the 1st of 2026. Approval is still pending for this waiver to be approved through FNS. And just as a reminder, counties should still continue identifying ABODs, screening for exemptions, and following all current ABOD requirements while awaiting USDA decision. And then the last update that I have is in regards to the modified ESAP requirements. So USDA has directed states to remove individuals ages 60 to 64 without a disability from ESAP due to HR1 changes. The state has informed USDA that implementation will occur after necessary CalSOS system updates. An ACL with the implementation guidance is forthcoming, and additional updates will be shared as soon as they become available. Those are all the updates I have today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And no concerns on the time. We are still ahead of schedule. So no worries with that. And now DHCS.
Hi, good morning again, everyone. I'm going to start with just some recently released Medi-Cal eligibility division informational letters that are tied to a lot of the work that's really in flight right now. One, just letting folks know that originally we had been planning for the elimination of dental or restriction of dental to only non-emergency services that was supposed to go live on July 1st. The state budget did modify that implementation date to July 1st of 2027. And so we have issued a MEDL just letting folks know that that particular implementation is no longer going to be taking effect on July 1st. Just really want to give a huge shout out to CalSAWS, who very quickly was able to make modifications to the notices of action to remove the reference of the elimination of dental, literally doing it within, a week or two time frame. And so I know they're working hard to make sure that we avoid confusion from members. The other thing that was released is we know that Truve income is being leveraged sort of immediately on the benefits Cal side, and we want to make sure counties have the information they need to be able to utilize that information for Medi-Cal as well. And so we did issue out some information about how to use it for Medi-Cal purposes. We will have a much more thorough policy letter that will be going out in addition to our Equifax, our use of Equifax for Medi-Cal purposes. It will cover Truve as well in that particular letter, so more to come. I think the two big letters that folks are waiting for, the first one is the 6-month renewal ACWDL. We received a tremendous amount of feedback from our stakeholder community. We're incorporating that feedback very, very quickly, and we'll be looking to release that policy letter ahead of the DHCS trainings that are taking place in August for the 6-month renewal process. Additionally, we know on October 1st, there are going to be some of our current population that is considered to be a qualified non-citizen and entitled to federally funded full scope coverage. Some of that population will no longer be eligible to federally funded full scope coverage come October 1st. While they will see no changes to their actual scope of benefits, that population come January 1st of 2027 will be moving to fee-for-service delivery system. And so there is an impact to that particular group. DHCS is going to be issuing that ACWDL very similarly. We received a lot of great feedback. We'll be releasing that ACWDL in the very near future ahead of the training at the end of July for that particular provision. Again, the counties, I just want to give you so much praise. We got a lot of feedback on some opportunities to remove what would have been work that the county workers needed to do with regards to some of the verification request process. And we're able to take that ownership of that task on from the state perspective. And so we're hopeful that as we move into that implementation, that we've reduced as much of the county workload and burden as possible, while most importantly maintaining the ability for our members to get into the correct coverage and be under the right immigration status to allow them to have the full breadth of benefits, including the managed care delivery service. With that, I think those are our only updates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you to our state partners for those updates. Do we have any questions from PSC members? Any public comment? All right. Seeing none and hearing none, I think that concludes our agenda, and we can now adjourn the meeting at 11:04. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.